When it comes to natural remedies, one remedy shines brightly as one of the greatest healing remedies known to mankind.
And that remedy is?
Juicing. Many people think of juicing as very labor-intensive, time-consuming, and even expensive. However, if you'll give EJ and I a few minutes of your time, we would like to share with you the extraordinary benefits of juicing, as well as a few tips to make your juicing experience as pain-free as possible.
And will significantly impact your life for the good.
That's right. To begin with, we would like to expound on the difference between a smoothie or a blended food versus an expressed juice, and why the live juices and enzymes are so important to immune function and turning on the body's healing power.
Okay, so what's the difference between a smoothie and a juice?
Yes. Well, the primary difference between the two is found in their fiber content. A blended food or a smoothie contains all its fiber. For the expressed juice, the fiber has been removed or strained out. The good thing about smoothies is that they're very healthy and very pleasant tasting. So it's a good way to increase your family's fiber and nutritional intake, and it's a good way to begin your day. Most people use a blended food or a smoothie as a meal replacement, and that's exactly what a smoothie is. It's a meal replacement. Although a smoothie is raw and contains a ton of nutrients and live enzymes, in order to follow the laws of digestion, which is basically 5 to 6 hours between meals.
Consuming it must be limited to 3 times a day. Is that correct?
That is right. That is right. In this instance, because of the fiber it contains, although good for you, the fiber actually limits the quantity of nutrients you can consume in a shorter period of time throughout the day. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Okay. This brings me to the subject of juicing. When you remove the fiber, you can basically drink your juices anytime without initiating the digestive process. In addition, removing the fiber will allow your digestion to rest during specific healing times. This is basically saying 30 to 35% of the body's energy by allowing the digestion to rest. This is what turns on the body's healing mechanism, where you would remove the fiber from your diet to consume your juices on a therapeutic level.
So what does that mean, to consume your juices on a therapeutic level?
Right. It means that our food becomes our medicine. It also means that the more we consume, the deeper will be the healing effect on the immune system. And the immune system is basically what gets us well. By converting your daily diet to juices loaded with phytonutrients, vitamins, trace minerals, amino acids, and live enzymes, you will be kicking the body's immune system into high gear and turning on the body's healing ability. This process of juice extraction enables you to consume many more live enzymes, as we said already, and nutrients than you could possibly eat in the same amount of time, complete with the fiber.
So how do you suggest flooding your body with nutrition?
Well, an ideal way to therapeutically flood your body with nutrition is to drink 1 cup servings of juice every hour throughout the day. This may seem like a lot, but people with serious diseases can find big relief from the hourly juices. Remember, this is a specific feeding for your immune system. Systematic hourly feeding is a very powerful healer. Then, when you start flooding your body with all this nutrition, the miracle of healing takes place. Take, for instance, people who are dealing with incredible pain. The live juices are very anti-inflammatory, and they can bring rapid relief. Juice fasting is a powerful way to enhance a good herbal program as well. In other words, even a top-notch herbal program will not be enough to heal the body without the help of a good nutritional program. However, nutrition combined with a good herbal routine are 2 mechanisms that have a powerful healing effect on the body.
Is this the fastest way to heal the body that you know of?
It is the fastest way. You can turn up the heat with the juice fast, which I believe is the fast track to healing, because it does 2 powerful things for the body. First, it floods the body with nutrition and live enzymes. Secondly, and simultaneously allowing the body to take a deep physiological rest. Most sick people have faulty digestion in the first place, and this temporary rest is many times vital to the healing process. Bypassing digestion, the nutrients and live enzymes that were previously lost in the digestive process can go within minutes directly into the bloodstream.
Wasn't it Dr. Norman Walker who said that raw juices are digested within 10 to 15 minutes after we drink them?
Yes. Dr. Walker states that in one of my favorite books called Fresh Vegetables and Fruit Juices, and I have referred to that book many times. Another doctor, Dr. H. Kirschner, said the power to break down the cellular structure of raw vegetables and assimilate the precious elements they contain, even in the healthiest individual, is only fractional, not more than 35%, and in the less healthy, down to as low as 1%. In the form of juices, these same individuals assimilate up to 92% of these elements. It is a well-known fact that all foods must become liquid before they can be assimilated. Another favorite quote of mine by Dr. Rudy Davis, who lectures along with his wife on healthful living, said in a recent lecture that the human body is a juicing machine. It extracts the juice from our foods, separating it from the fiber. The juice goes into the bloodstream, to the liver, and the fiber is then sent to the bowels to help remove toxic debris from daily metabolic functions. The body cannot use nutrients unless they are in liquid form. They cannot reach tissues unless they are liquid. When we juice foods, we relieve the body from doing a lot of work, and it puts the juice into the bloodstream for instant access to the liver.
Now, when you say juice fast, do you mean juice only?
Yes, however, if a person cannot do a complete juice fast at first, perhaps they could do a modified juice fast. God has solutions for everyone to be healthy. One way is to fast for 2 days each week. Another way is to eat only one meal a day, say at lunchtime, and juice fast the rest of the day and throughout the next morning. Another way would be to fast on grapes alone for breakfast and lunch, and then drink hourly juices the rest of the day. Separating the juices from the grapes by 15 minutes for optional absorption would be ideal.
What about combining fruits with vegetables? We hear a fair amount about don't mix your fruits and vegetables together.
Yes, that's exactly right. A lot of the foods we call vegetables, however, are not actually vegetables at all, but are green leafy herbs that were given for the healing of the nations. Herbs such as kale, Swiss chard, lettuce. So herbs mixed together with fruits do not typically cause digestive problems, but also when you consume the fiber, the juice does not require the digestive process either.
So if you remove the fiber from fruits and vegetables, then you can mix them.
Well, that's exactly right, because if we're going to have a dysbiosis going on in our stomach, usually it's going to be happening because of the fiber content, and it holds up digestive process.
So can you demonstrate how to juice to enhance the immune system, even for serious diseases?
Yes, and God's remedies are for the serious as well as the non-serious. Let me just briefly tell you what the different vegetables are here. These are vegetables that I typically juice in my juices. Starting with kale, I usually get much kale as I can, even though it doesn't typically have a lot of juice. It's very, very alkaline in the body, very highly nutritious. Again, I try to get always organic vegetables. If you're not able to get them, and a lot of times people are in areas where they can't get organic vegetables, and if you can't, then the Lord has a way for everyone. He will just bless your efforts, doing the best you can.
The Lord will bless the best you can do.
That's exactly right. Of course, we have carrots. I usually use carrots as my base. There's a lot of juice in it, a lot of nutrition, and but the thing is, carrots are typically sweet, and I would keep it to 20 to 30% of my base being carrots, and then also we have celery, which is very good for high blood pressure. It's also good for people who can't sleep. And then we have parsley, which is wonderful for the kidneys. It also juices up very well. And then we have romaine lettuce, which is up there with the carrots as far as lots of juice. And so I would use that. I also have some other herbs from the field. Comfrey. You can't really see the leaves very well.
There's some comfrey here.
have some comfrey leaves over here. And comfrey leaves are very good for digestion, very healing, and they juice up very nicely. And also I
Cabbage?
have cabbage, which is really good, juices up well. I usually juice my cabbage alone. The cabbage is really good for any kind of ulcer. And then of course we have the cruciferous vegetables like cauliflower and broccoli. You want to be sure and add those to your juices. They have a lot of juices. As far as, we also have collard greens. Collard greens is also very powerful. Any kind of bok choy, any of the cabbage family would be fine to add into your juices. Then, of course, one word of caution about beets, because they have a powerful purge on the liver, and they purge out poisons a little bit too fast until you get into your juicing program, and you're further down on your detoxification program. You want to keep your juices, you want to keep your beets to a minimum, or if not at all. If you're not very toxic, your body is not very toxic, you can go ahead and, if you're brave, you can go ahead and try those.
Now, how much juice should we drink every day?
Well, I would recommend, and this worked for me when I was very ill, 1/2 cup every hour. No, I'm sorry, 1 cup every hour. 1/2 of a 16-ounce pint jar. So you would, if you were going to work for 4 hours, this represents 4 hours worth.
Okay, so throughout the course of the day, you're only going to need about 4 jars if you're going to drink a half a jar once an hour.
That's right. But usually I recommend that people take not just their juices, but a good herbal program with them, and also a bowel formula. And then I have yet to see a job where a person couldn't consume these, take out just a moment to drink their juices, and stay busy. And isn't that the miracle of healing? Mm-hmm. Naturally, is that God allows people to do this in their home and be able to take their juices with them. Now, just one other thing I might want to mention. Now, we want to be sure we remove the fiber. Always remove the fiber from it, because then you'll be able to drink it without initiating that digestive process. Remember, we don't want to kick the digestion in. If you do, several things will happen. One is that it'll overwork your digestion for as much as you're going to be drinking. Also, another problem is that with the juices, also we don't want our blood sugar levels to get too heavy. And
so you just poured the juice through a strainer.
Just pour it through a strainer.
And you want to get it real close to the top and real close to full.
Yes.
And we'll show you why in just a moment.
Yes, now these juices we just now made just a few minutes ago. And so then this usually fills up 2 of them. So this is 4 hours worth. That's probably going to go over maybe just a little bit. Thank you. So,
to make your juice last as long as possible, fill it up real close to the top. Slide a flat across the top so that there's no air between the lid and the juice. And then you can put the ring on. Fresh juices do not have a very long shelf life. Keeping as much air away from the juice will help as much as possible. And if you juice this morning and keep it refrigerated, how long will that last before you need to drink it?
Right. And they don't have a shelf life at all. They immediately need to be put in the refrigerator immediately. And also, drinking your juices immediately would be most ideal. But people have to go to work. I would suggest, if you have a busy schedule the next day, get your juices done the night before and have all of that ready to go, ready to put into your cooler the next day. If you're going to go on a vacation and you're going to be gone a couple of days, take juice enough for 2 days. Mm-hmm. And keep them in a nice, very cool cooler, and your juices will last.
So if you juice tonight, it would be best to get your juice drank tomorrow. If you juice this morning, your juice will last until tomorrow afternoon. But
Yes.
You don't want to go any farther than that. Now, something else that you add to your juices quite frequently is something else.
Yes, I always add a tablespoon of superfood, which is basically a dried foods of barley, wheatgrass, spirulina, all these things. It's easy nutrition, and it also helps to fill that certain hole in your stomach when you're juice fasting, or when you want to put something in there but you don't want to put too much. You want to continue with your diet. It's a good way to help you stay on your diet.
So it boosts the nutritional level without adding the fiber, and it mixes and blends well with the juice and goes right into the bloodstream like the juice does.
It does. It does have a little bit of fiber, but I've noticed that it does not take me out of the juice fasting state. So there is a little bit of a compromise there, but I don't think it's enough to where it
more of a benefit.
It does have a bit more of a benefit, and that's been my experience, and I've seen other people do it as well, and they gained a lot from it. As the juice fast progresses, a self-digestive process kicks in called autolysis. This is a miracle action of the body, and it begins its healing. It begins the healing action.
Okay, so what exactly is autolysis?
It's when the body starts a healing action called self-digestion. However, it's the weak cells that are utilized by the body and prepared for removal via the organs of elimination.
So the weaker cells, the sick cells that the body attacks first and removes and purges out, what cells would those be?
Well, it's cysts, quarantined areas by the immune system like tumors, candida, and other abnormalities within the body. And these sick cells and poisons are pulled from the deeper tissues of the body layer by layer as detoxification responds to the healthy diet and juices. As the cleanse deepens, the body begins to decalcify. We might equate it with the action of a sponge. When you squeeze it and squeeze it, this is typical of the action of the immune system as the poisons start to be removed from the body via the organs of elimination. Another way to describe the detoxification process is like the peeling of an onion. As the detox diet deepens, another layer of toxicity is stripped away until each layer has been cleansed. This is part of the reason detoxification completes its progress over time. Consistent with the amount of time and persistence each individual contributes to the healing process. It happens step by step until the last layer has been cleansed and peeled away. Another important facet of juice fasting is that it can jumpstart the healing process, and it can buy a sick person precious time to evaluate his or her diet, breaking old eating habits and addictions and changing destructive patterns that made him or her sick in the first place. I myself used that precious time to read and study while my body was healing.
So when did juicing come into the world? How long ago might that have been?
Well, we know that Jesus, when he walked on the earth, he changed the water into grape juice.
So even back in Jesus' day, they were juicing grapes.
Yes, they were. They were. And they probably used it to cleanse. We know that grape juice has very powerful cleansing action.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, if you will remember right, Jesus blessed the grape juice.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bible also says that what Jesus bless, it will be blessed forever.
He blesses those things forever,
So
yes.
we can talk about a grape juice fast or a grape fast some other time. But we do know that there is a lot of power in the grapes. Then we also know that Ellen White had carrot, tomato, and fruit juices occasionally. Herbalists also extract the nutrients from herbs every day. I do this in my business. Extracting nutrients are for the purpose of condensing the benefit of the nutrition and healing properties.
So in order to turn up the heat, we have to optimize our juicing and live foods. But how does a person transition after they've done a juice fast? How do they transition back onto eating solid food again?
That's a very good question. I would remember to keep my raw intake to a high percentage, 80%, and also keep the juicer going. Make it a way of life. Avoid packaged products and other poisons in our food source. Hippocrates Health Institute Director Brian Clement stated that in a recent study of people enrolled in the Institute program over a 15-year period, attendees who stayed on a 75% raw food program with 25% cooked easily stayed well. Yet when their raw intake went down to 70% raw with 30% cooked, they found their immunity dropped by 17%. Finally, they found that if the raw percentage went down to 65% with 35% cooked, immunity dropped 48%.
That's a pretty big drop.
It is, yes.
So why do we have to juice today? our ancestors rarely juiced. They rarely went to the doctor. So what's going on today that wasn't going on back then?
Yes, that's right. And some people may not need to supplement their diet with juices. Very rare, but there are some people. However, one thing is for sure, the raw juices are beneficial to everyone. What is the saying? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. With that in mind, most people are way past prevention. We need the restorative power God has placed within our reach to heal the body.
What if a person can't juice? Some people just don't have the ability to juice. They don't have the means, or for whatever reason they can't juice.
Yes. If juicing is not possible, I would keep the raw intake at 80%, as I've already stated, raw versus cooked. Although 80% may seem too difficult to achieve, for several very important reasons, it remains a very important component to maintaining health. Here's why. First, raw produce does not contain the nutrient density that it did 2 decades ago, let alone what it contained in ancient biblical days. Can you imagine what it would have been like to partake of the manna from heaven? That was probably the greatest superfood the world ever knew.
That would have been some good superfood.
Outside of the Garden of Eden, of course. Agricultural studies have shown declining nutrients to be a big problem, with foods getting bigger in size, but the nutritional content becoming less and less. EJ is going to share some information, and it's profound. It reveals a grave situation facing us today, and I think we need to know about it.
A study comparing the nutritional value of fruits and vegetables over a 51-year period from 1940 to 1991 by David Thomas comes in the form of an abstract entitled "A Study on the Mineral Depletion of the Foods Available to Us as a Nation." Mr. Thomas said the result of comparing data available in 1940 with that in 1991 demonstrates that in every subgroup of foods investigated, there has been a substantial loss in their mineral content. The losses broken down by mineral content are as follows. Loss of 49% of their sodium content. Loss of 16% of their potassium content. Loss of 24% of their magnesium. 46% of their calcium. 27% of their iron, and a massive 76% loss of their copper content. Of special note is the fact that the copper content was the only trace minerals measured, so its decline in copper is safely reflective of overall declines in trace mineral contents.
Yes.
So it should be noted that the completion of this study takes us to 1991, placing us today 25 years beyond the end of the above study. Considering the fact that the original study took 51 years to complete, we are close to the halfway mark of that original study.
Yeah, that's sad.
Now, do you remember if we ate one tomato back in 1940, to get the same nutritional value, how many tomatoes would we need to have eaten in 1991?
20?
20. That's a lot of tomatoes.
Unless significant changes since that time have been made toward changing this downward trend, we can only surmise that the dilution effect has continued to erode the nutritional content of our fruits and vegetables. We have to keep in mind as well that since 1991, genetic modifications to our seed began to grow in prominence in the agricultural world as well. And there's a huge source of problems there, a lot of problems with our GMO foods. Because of the progressive compromises in our food source, it becomes evident as to the importance of keeping a high percentage of raw food intake in combination with the live juices. However, adding a juicing routine to an already busy lifestyle with children, family, and work, both inside and outside of the home, the thought of yet another responsibility to add to a juggling routine can potentially make some people feel defeated at the outset. Purchasing a juicer doesn't even sound fun or realistic. Rising to the challenge, however, some have found unexpected relief by fewer family illnesses, less time spent at the doctor's office, less money spent on hospital care and medicine, less money spent on packaged products, and more quality time, family time. If you're one of those people who do not have the time to add juicing to your routine, you're not alone. There are so many people out there. Perhaps you've spent your life taking care of others, and now the time has come when you have to focus in on your own health. Claiming God's promises is definitely the secret to being successful. One particular promise from the Bible comes to mind.
The Bible says, "Call unto me, and I will answer thee, and show thee great and mighty things, which thou knowest not." That's from Jeremiah 33, verse 3.
Amen. If you need a miracle, reach out to the miracle worker, and as well as his natural remedies. Remember, his biddings are your enablings.
Amen.
Amen.